Terrific. All right, well, thanks so much. We appreciate everyone in the chat just introducing themselves, their name, neighborhood, and their affiliation. And I'll kick off introductions inside beautiful Borough Hall. I'm Mary Ellen Sullivan. I'm chair of the Brooklyn SWAB.
Pablo Garcia, Brooklyn SWAB member. I do academic research.
Hi, I'm Cody McMahon. I'm just interested citizen. I live in Fort Greene.
Hi, I'm Satchel. I live in Williamsburg. I'm just also interested.
I'm Emily. I'm also just a citizen. I live in Bushwick.
Cool.
Hi, Angela Ferguson, second meeting, interested citizen, and I live in Flatbush.
I'm Sherry Rickle. I'm a SWAB member and the Save Our Compost liaison.
I'm Lacey Tauber. I'm the legislative director for the Brooklyn Borough President.
I'm Rhonda Kaiser, and I am the vice chair of the Brooklyn SWAB, and I'm also within Windsor Terrace.
Terrific. All right. With that, we are very excited. Tonight, we have a pioneer in the recycling space. Her name is Christine Kiourtsis, and apologies if I'm getting your last name wrong. She is founder and president of Renewable Recycling Incorporated, and she is very active in speaking in the recycling community, in circularity, and she is a big reason why New York City mattresses are being recycled and made into new products. And with that, Christine, I'd like to kick it off and pass it over to you. We are really interested in hearing what you have to say.
Great. So thank you to everybody at the Brooklyn SWAB for inviting me. I'm excited to be here. If you haven't heard of me, well, now you know. So again, Christine Kiourtsis, it's Kiourtsis, you were very close. President of Renewable Recycling, Inc. So I'll just give the, I'll go through my presentation. Everybody can see my screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll speak, through the presentation because a lot of times I get started and then I'll say a lot of the spiel that's in the presentation. So I'll try to stick to the script here. So the reason, we had gotten the company started, which I'll get into the background of the company, because we realized, as everyone that's here who's passionate about diverting from landfills, there's a great impact, obviously, of material waste and what it does to our environment. Of course, bullet point down, erosion of natural resources poses greenhouse gas emissions, especially the mattress. It contributes greatly to leaky landfill liners and groundwater contamination. So who we are? We are 100, yes, I'm a whole team here, 100% woman-owned. We are under the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, started with the mattress. We were incepted in 2014. So we realized the mattress, they consider it the Achilles heel of solid waste. We knew this was a big problem, so we wanted to try to get to work solving it. And the first things first is, how do you take this bulky beast apart? And we did start with a manual process. As we gained traction and we gained support from municipalities, universities, property management companies, and then slowly I started gaining traction in the manufacturing/retail end of the mattress industry. We were able to get the funds together and start really doing the research, digging in how we can make our process automated. So that's another tricky part of this, because if you buy the wrong machine, these are not, cheap machines. They're upwards of $2 million machines. You can go belly up right away. So it took us a little while to figure that part out, what type of machines to put together to get this process going. Once we figured that out, we knew we were gaining that traction. So from there, we had our first New York City contract. I can't believe I'm in my 5th year already with the New York City Housing Authority. We're on 58 of the developments currently. If the budget allowed, we would be on all, it's about 310 now they manage. But we're very happy to be on the properties that we're on. We have never before reported information for them. They broke ground in many ways with the, the sustainability program, and it helped them not only with solving an issue of diverting bulky waste materials, but we're also now on their rodent I'm so sorry. I forgot what their exact program is, but we're on the solving the rodent issue program. I really forgot what the name of it is, but being that the rodents do love to burrow into the mattresses, yes, it's a lovely topic in the middle of winter. Once we took the mattresses and put them into sealed containers, the rodents were no longer able to get into the mattresses to procreate. So we help to solve that problem, and it also poses a safer and greater work environment for all of the workers. So it's a great program. It's very successful. They're hoping to even expand further once budgets allow for it. So we're very proud of that program. We this year alone we have covered 20 hotels. We just did a 5-hotel clean out in the middle of the Midtown to Chelsea area. So we have a lot of support with the mattress. But moving along on the story, so basically we solved that problem. Then we saw that the carpet law was coming into place, which did pass in New York State 2023. The law is not fully mandated yet, but it is on the agenda to start the end of this year, 2026. By 2027 July, all the larger organizations and government entities will be complying to a 30% for the first year of compliance for the carpet law. So we started with the carpet, just playing around, experimenting. How can we, get the best recycling rate through our process? So we are proud to say that we are over 90% recycling rate now with carpet. And I will get into our testing phase, but through our testing, we've learned what chemicals are in the carpet, if any, and where they're stemming from, because that's the big concern with the carpet itself, dealing with it as a material. But safe to say that due to the testing that we learned, it's not in the carpet per se, but it's what agents were used, if any, underneath the carpet. So in the early 90s to the early 2000s, a lot of these construction companies that were installing, or the carpet installer, were using a cement glue. So that was the agent that was causing more of the PFAS rather than it being the carpet itself. So at this point, we're doing take back programs where the larger manufacturers are pulling up the carpet. They're called, again, take back programs, and we're receiving the old carpet. We do tell them which carpeting, the underlay that we can accept, but for the most part, we can accept over 95% of any carpet that's pulled up. Again, as long as the backing was removed, and if it wasn't, because if it was from that era, then we can't accept it. But we don't have much of a restriction on the carpet that we can accept. So from there, I'm sure everyone's familiar, but if you're not, we have a wonderful program, organization, I should say, NICER3, which is our New York State Association of Reduce, Reuse, Recycle. That's the premier organization that works hand in hand directly with the New York State DEC and the governor's office for sustainability initiatives. Under this program, I am with the committees of reuse and legislative, and through there, there's a wonderful Google group, and there was one architect that had said, "Hey, I need some help. You wonderful recyclers out there. Can anybody help me with this project that's going on in Midtown Manhattan?" It's the local 802 Music Union. They're looking for some quick, easy sustainability reporting. And because we're under the DEC, we do have these formulas for all, the materials that we are handling, especially the mattress, and now the carpet, the different types of carpet. So we said, yeah, sure, let's take a stab. We joined that project. And from there, we did the site assessment and we said, hey, you know what? We think we could take some other materials other than if there's a mattress, if there's carpet. So we said, let's take a look at the drop ceilings and the ceiling tiles because these are all very similar materials. So from there, we started experimenting with those materials, and now that is part of our whole equation. So we accept now light construction materials. And lastly, and I think most excitingly for me, because now I deal with a lot of the fashion folks, we're accepting and recycling textiles. So textiles, the definition under the umbrella is not just, of course, clothing, but it's linens, accessories, and believe it or not, footwear, shoes. So that's our latest experiment that's coming out very wildly successful. We're able to process most shoes, boots, and things like that as long as we are careful with the metal, if there's any metal on the shoes or the boots being liberated. So all said, it sounds like it's so simple, but it isn't, because then we gathered all these materials together and we knew the writing was on the wall. There were a lot of markets shrinking for, let's just say, the foam that we had from the mattress, the different textiles that we're dealing with. And COVID had a big part in that because it did shrink, let's just say, the carpet industry. Many people, as we know in New York, everybody with the bed bug pandemic or epidemic, I'm sorry, everybody had the ick. You went around looking at everything saying, oh my God, it probably has a bed bug. So similar type of psychological reaction with COVID. Many people were just getting rid of mattress. We were dealing with so many mattresses, and many people were ripping up their rugs and wanting flooring put down. So from there, our markets that we had currently in that situation were shrinking, and we said we're going to have to come up with a solution here because we were getting left with mounds and mounds of foam that no longer had an outlet. So with that, we started the experiment and came up with this product. It's an insulation product. And we started federal testing first. We did use Owens Corning, which is the staple, the federal staple for home innovation testing. Their lab took all the materials and they asked for several batches. And they started testing not just our batches, but then against leading brands so that we can have not just our ASTM standard testing, which is what the testing codes fall under, but also we wanted to see how well it tested against the leading brands. So once we got that back and we passed with flying colors, which was amazing, we did see in the categories of soundproofing especially, our product was so densely packed. It's a great soundproofing product, as well as fire retardancy. We tested well above the range. So we went to the DEC and said, hey, DEC, we have this great product. And they said, well, good for you. Now you have to get tested through. They're called ELAP certified labs, ELAP. Everything in my life now is an acronym. So we had to find an ELAP certified lab that tested for all of the wonderful chemicals that we all know, every acronym, PFAS, MOCs, VOCs, you name it, metal corrosion, all and different types of corrosion, because obviously this product is going into walls, attics, floors, and they of course want to make sure it's deemed safe in every way. So the premier lab, just so everyone knows, throughout the whole United States that we finally found to do our testing was right in our wonderful state, New York, in Rochester. So we did get hooked up with the P2I, which is our Pollution Prevention Institute. that is in Rochester. And we got picked up under their umbrella, and they did help us with all the data analytics. This was a 9-month process. And the DEC was very, very interested in what the findings were going to be, because obviously not just for all the materials, but more importantly, they were zeroing in on the carpet data, because the carpet law, they were in the midst of writing the language. So we streamlined, well, not myself, but the lab, we gave permission for them to streamline the information, all the data analytics. And after 9 months, at about 75 batches, all different materials, because you can imagine no batch is ever the same, no mattress is ever the same, no piece of clothing will ever be the same that comes through the door. So they wanted to make sure they had enough data. And after that, this just wrapped up November of 2025. We finished all of our data testing, and it was again astoundingly amazing. There were only 2 of the 75 batches that had a little bit of a raised alert, and it was on a metal / corrosion column category. So we knew what to do to adjust that. And so we learned along the way, and we learned all these different materials that we're handling have their own characteristics that contribute toward the product. So for instance, the carpet tile and gypsum drywall, those have natural fire retardant characteristics. So it helped us to figure out, when we're putting this product together, the ratio. Okay, this much foam, this much, from the different light construction materials. Carpet, textiles, and mattress foam, all of these materials are very similar in their characteristics. And the wonderful thing about the product is there's no exact recipe. It's just like when you know how to make your secret sauce, you know how to throw in the dab of sugar, the dab of salt, the basil. You don't have to do it exactly to a science. That's what's wonderful about this product as well. So we do have a natural IP as well. It is our secret sauce. You cannot patent, but it is like the Pepsi or the, again, Rayo sauce. It's all natural ingredients that contribute toward the fire retardancy and the bug repellency. So that amplifies the quality of the product. So we did receive our BUD, another acronym, Beneficial Use Determination, which is that green stamp you need from the authorities. So in our case, it was the Department of Environmental Conservation. We received that in January, so it was amazing that we didn't really wait that long, because I did hear certain nightmare stories. People have to wait a long time, in certain instances. But because we shared that data so quickly and freely, they were able to see everything full disclosure as it was happening. So we do have our beneficial use determination. We are now a materials recovery facility. So we're extended out from mattress. We do again have that registration to accept all the bulky waste materials that I had said that are in the wheelhouse. And that was a lot for one slide. I was just trying to get it all in so I could breeze through. So our circular process, it's just a 3-step process. We try to make everything here simple, as complicated as it may be in the background, because we want this process to be replicated. We don't want to hold on to it. We want it to grow. So we are starting again with New York. We have a lot of initiatives going in New Jersey, but from there we want this system, this process, and this program to just replicate everywhere, because it's not just about my company being successful. It's about this program being successful and expanding out, so that we have a proven circular process, a circular program that works. So it's important to share it, right? So 3 steps: efficient collection and reporting, in-house recycling program and end market product, and of course that carbon footprint reduction toward a circular economy. And in this case, I did explain to you that we have this wonderful program with NYCHA, and they have never before reporting now for all of the mattresses that we are diverting from the landfills. So of course, partnerships that amplify this, local municipalities, launching bulky waste recycling programs, home and building construction, deconstruction, which we have a lot of interest now for that light construction materials as well as textiles. Corporate partners super interested. Interested parties that want to invest in and or take on this type of program with their higher volume clients, because even say the Waste Managements of the world, the Casellas, we know all the big companies, they are also looking for solutions to divert from the landfills, especially with the higher volume clients that they get a lot of the waste from. And in this case, we don't call it waste. It's bulky waste materials. So of course, technology also plays a part. We do have that automated process. Like I said, we have an app that helps us, with the AI technology. And we do have within our automated process a system. We don't have it hooked up directly to computers yet, but we do get information from the conveyors, believe it or not, that help us to get the accuracy of the recycling rates. So our solution, I did go through this, but we transform recycled materials into proprietary end products. We're working on our next investment is an amazing machine that will be able to create other products from these materials. So it will be a flooring product, of course, the underlay for carpet, and a couple of other exciting products that, are going to be in our wheelhouse. We don't want to say too much about it until we get everything, the whole process refined. But again, our material streams, foam, metal, textiles, they're repurposed for renewed use. I did go through all this, but again, as we know, using repurposed, in this case, materials greatly reduces carbon footprint with not having to use those virgin materials and, exerting on the energy. So it's an energy efficiency product as well. And here are all of the materials we now currently collect for our process, which I think I went through each one. And again, and we do also recycle cardboard and paper products, cellulosic products as well. These are actual photos. On the left-hand side, you'll see these are our, which we still do here and there, called for if a client or a vendor, I should say, asks for baled foam. That's kind of what the bales look like. But in our case now, we typically imagine taking a whole mattress and putting it through the mouth of our first line shredder machine. So the whole thing goes through and it just gets processed down, goes through conveyors. And then there's a secondary shredder with custom screens that breaks down the materials to our size we need for our blown in insulation, which is called currently rehouse. This is wonderful. I love this this slide, and I do deal a little bit with the lead U.S. Green Building Council, but we do fit under 4 categories with this product. So it's a wonderful product for design build to incorporate into their projects. And of course, they also get credit for working with a 100% woman-owned company as well. Sorry, I'm stuttering a little. It's late in the day for me. I talk a lot. So our drivers towards sustainable practices, of course, those EPR mandates, they always help to get recycling initiatives going and expanded out. I did speak on the carpet law. We do currently, I did not check in the past week, but the mattress bill was still alive as of about 10 days ago. We do have a textile recycling bill that's always in the pipeline, but once the bill's mandated, it always helps to get recycling initiatives expanded out. Again, larger companies, like I said, I'll just mention a few we're working with. There is a Fortune 10 company. I'm under NDA, but everybody uses them. They deal with many, many materials. You order it, it comes right to your house. So these types of companies that are taking the lead, the waste management, Casella, Waste Connections, Steve Madden, I mean, it's endless. these companies that are coming together and saying, you know what, we really have to make a difference, not just because we need to comply to zero waste reporting, but it is happening. It is a movement. I'm here to witness on this end that, you know, these companies are looking for solutions, and they are few and far between currently, but there is a lot in the pipeline. There's investment, you know, being made, and studies being made every day, like exactly what we had to go through. And again, global and federally recognized green certifications always help for, you know, towards the guidelines. What do the guidelines look like under green initiatives? So just a slide on our research, innovation and best practices. I'm going to speak now on, you know, for capital investment, where we are, what's our future. Some very exciting. We did close on a 31-acre property in Schenectady, which, if you're not familiar, it's only about 15 miles from our capital region. We're working under the Schenectady County Metroplex Authority, say that 5 times. And they've been a great support and really helping us with not just our zoning and permitting, but, you know, getting that approval, because we're going to be breaking ground for recycling and green manufacturing initiatives up there. We're going to be scaling up our volume 25 to 30 fold, just in the first year alone. So we are currently in the phase of raising our, you know, the fundraising. That's always fun. Literally, fundraising is fun. And we want to break ground in the fall before obviously it starts snowing up there, because this is super important. So again, we're building out this innovation. We're calling it an innovation hub on the 30 acres. We're going to be building initially on about 6 of the acres for both these initiatives, the recycling and the manufacturing. And we're just going to be mostly accepting a lot of the materials that I covered for this process and this circular story. There is excitement from the capital region. They want the green. Of course, it's going to create local jobs. And I will tell you one of our secret ingredients, because I tell everybody and I love to tell everybody, one of the ingredients in our insulation product is lavender, and that is a natural bug repellent. So we will be growing wonderful initiatives on there as well, like a lavender farm, so that, you know, we're going to be controlling and managing that end of things as well. That's how close we're going to be with this project. There's, again, for New York State, we already have government support. New Jersey, there's already government support. We can't do this all by ourselves, so we have to do one state at a time. And once we get the proper partners in, we'll be able to go a little bit more at a rapid pace. And then, of course, utilizing technology is going to help us to get that volume scaled up the way we need to. And the wonderful thing about this is we try to reach a 95% recycling rate for the materials we process, and we're about at a 99% rate for the repurposing of those materials. So those are pretty high numbers. We have a partnership with Reworld, which was formerly Covanta. I'm sure everyone's familiar with. They are a clean waste to energy company, and we're partnered with the one that's close. It's pretty much in our backyard, only like 13 miles away in Westbury, Long Island. And so any of our residue, our leftover recycling fluff, we call it, most of it goes to them. Our goal is to be a zero waste. We don't want anything in the landfill. And, you know, some people have opinions about clean waste to energy, but for me, they do an amazing job converting materials to energy. And I would much rather see anything of any residue go there than go in a landfill. So it's a lot what we're working on. Obviously, it's a mouthful, and as you can see, I can't get it out fast enough. So this is a slide just showing, you know, how quickly we're going about on our business model, our business plan. From 2024, we increased our volume 3 times. Currently, that's up probably 5 times from that amount. We are under a Department of Environmental Conservation registration that gives us a limit to the volume that we can take in before it gets processed out. So we have to always be mindful of our registration parameters as well. Because trust me, these materials we're getting phone calls from everywhere. The trailers want to come to us. We want to take them, but we have to turn away some of them because we just don't have the room, which is crazy. So 2026, we have our end market product. It's brought to commercialization. We're talking as fast as we can, as quickly in front of as many people as we can, to start using this product, because obviously we can make so much of it, but we need folks to start, using the product. So that's what I'm working on as well. Like I said, there's a lot of interest in the design build industry. I'm speaking with. There are a couple of larger organizations that do their own in-house design and build outs. They're planning on building out signing agreements that they're going to be using the product, which is super exciting. So with that was a lot. There's probably a lot of questions, and I will stop talking. Thank you so much. I'll stop sharing. Yeah, if I can.
Christine, thank you so much. That was tremendous. That was certainly a lot. You guys are certainly very busy and involved in a lot of things. Congratulations on the new facility that you're building out in Schenectady. My initial quick question, and then we'll open it up. Do you collect the materials yourselves? How do you get the material? Is it coming from organizations like Waste Management and Casella? How does that?
So I just named them just to give examples, but we have a lot of different companies. We even have, say, Helpsy. We're speaking of Goodwill for the textile. So it's many different companies. Those companies definitely ship to us, so we accept trailer loads at a time. But for municipalities especially, we do have collection programs that are running throughout New York. Even upstate, we have Ulster County, that is the Ulster County Resource Recovery Agency. They're under our mattress and carpet recycling programs. For them, we install trailers on their site. So it just depends on the municipality in this instance and what the volume is. So Ulster County has such a high volume, it doesn't pay obviously for us to trek up there with our box trucks. So we have a trailering service we use. We swap out the trailers, but up in the town of Bethlehem, it's such a nice little quaint name for a town, which is even further up. We do collection service with our box trucks all throughout New Jersey, upwards of Atlantic City. We go as far out as there. That's where we have collection services. But for the most part, the trailer loads, those are coming to us.
Okay, great. I don't know if you want to take a look at that.
Yeah.
Real quick,
go ahead.
Yeah, do you have to sterilize the material?
Good question. So the wonderful thing is, because people say, how do you manage all of this, right? So the way we control this, and this is, it's wonderful, is that each of our clients, it's typically, so the wheelhouse is the 4 industries: mattress, carpet, textile, and light construction. Most of our clients, except for one, has only one of the industries coming at us. So if it's mattresses, it's coming from, say, Holloway's, from a mattress company, a mattress retailer. So in that case, once those mattresses are coming off the truck, there's a front line. We're vetting, we're screening the materials that are coming off. So in this case, the mattress inventory, you're able to see with the naked eye if there's any contamination. And contamination is biohazard, which is any bodily fluids, live infestation, mold, rust. Those are our main components and categories of contamination. So we're able to catch it on the front end. So after that, believe it or not, unless the mattress is mangled and it's not going through our process, but if there's a little bit of dirt on the outside, there is a forgiveness. And again, we did all this testing with all the different batches. There is a forgiveness level for some sediment. And it can go into the product, and there is an agent that we add to the product that helps to stabilize. And I can't tell you what it is, but the secret ingredients help to stabilize if there's, excess contaminants. But again, that's what's wonderful about this program and the process that we spent so much time really honing in on. We didn't want to make it difficult. We didn't want to make it like where we have to splice apart or, layer. If there's, say, a mattress that comes in, it's in pretty decent condition, but the outer layer, is heavily soiled. We do try to salvage it, so we might shave off the top layer, and at this rate, we do that within a matter of seconds. That's how quickly we do things, because we kind of perfected it. So we don't have to sanitize, but we do scrutinize.
Anyone else? Okay. Anything from the chat?
Oh yeah, Audrey, I think, had something, and then Sharon's hand was up.
Okay.
Audrey, do you want to say your question, or do you just want us to read it?
Oh, I can definitely read it. So I was just saying that it's really nice to actually hear about this process, first of all, because we always see mattresses on the curb here, and it reminds me every day how much waste goes to landfill. But I was interested in your business model. I wanted to know more about like how many employees you have, and I guess like what that looks like for you guys since you've recently started. And then I'm also interested in, because you mentioned that you're interested in this being a growing industry and
Yeah.
other organizations getting started. Do you guys teach workshops, or like are there resources for those businesses to kind of learn and get going? And I had lots of questions. The last one is
I
about
know it
your
opens up a whole
I know.
plethora. It's
The last
amazing.
the last one's about your lavender farm because I think that's so cool that you're doing that. And we have like community composting here. We actually have a lavender farm on Governor's Island as well,
Okay.
like distilling of the oils there, which is super cool. So immediately I just wondered if you use compost or if you plan to use compost and where you're going to get that. So thank
Were
you.
we on a panel together at NICE R3?
No, that
Oh
was
no,
not
okay.
me.
Somebody else from Governor's Island. Okay, never mind. I speak at so many platforms. I'm sorry. So first off, we're still a small business, a little bigger than a micro business. You would be surprised how much we get done. I do, as the president, what I do is I hire out for our routing because we have pickup routes as well. So let's just say you have a purple mattress, you spent $4,000 on it. I have partnerships with the bed in the box companies, and there's one company in particular that has a direct partnership. So we do all the mattress pickups returns so that the mattresses either get re,
Yes,
I'm sorry?
problem. Thank you.
Sharon, can you mute, please?
So we make sure the mattresses get responsibly either disposed of or repurposed. So for those initiatives, I hire logistics companies and I give local jobs to local logistics companies. So it seems like I have a lot of employees, but some of them are hired contractors. But internally in the warehouse, there's typically anywhere from 5 to 8 employees at a time that are manned in certain stations. I always have my warehouse manager on staff, and then I have a whole admin staff. So, typically in a given day, it's about 15 of my internal workers, and then we have logistics companies. So when you're a small business, you get creative, trust me. As far as the lavender farm, thank you. And now I'm told I have to harvest bees so that it can flourish the lavender. It's getting nutty. But for educational, we don't currently have workshops, but I speak all the time on different platforms. If people have questions, could feel free to reach out. but what we're doing is we're going to be building out, which I am so excited about. There is a house structure on the property. It was owned by a person who got it. It was passed down through generations. And this is so we could go really off into a deep end, but there was no deed to this property because that's how many generations it got passed down through, and no, it was through family. So they actually had to create a deed. It was just insane. But on the property is the structure. It's a 6-bedroom house, and what we're going to do is renovate it, incorporating all the LEED credentials. So it's going to have, of course, our insulation. We already have plexiglass walls that we display the product through. So we're going to be building like glass walls so you could actually see the insulation. We're going, of course, have solar paneling, any type of mechanism that's energy efficient. We're going to be incorporating. And if there are other initiatives and other companies that want to come on board onto the property, so we're inviting them. So the one is a solar panel company. Let's see by the time we build out, but there's so many different wonderful initiatives. There's there's a company that makes a certain glass that holds in, whether it's heat or air conditioning. So all these initiatives we want to build using all these different wonderful companies' materials. So that's going to be an educational center put together. And the Empire State's super interested because they asked me if I'm willing to do tours for schools and things like that. And of course I said yes. So we are in the process of, the mindset of building out an educational center. So I did see that Sharon has thank you, thumbs up. Sharon had her hand up for about 20 minutes, so maybe she can ask her question.
Hi, Christine. It's so good to see you. How are you?
Good. How are you? I see you at the Nice R3.
Right, and at the textile recycling conference in.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Anyway, I wanted to ask you because someone is asking me now about collecting textiles, but the building is nervous about bed bugs. Has that been an issue for you? Are you treating for that? Are you heating things when you get them to kill the bugs? Or is that at the point where you collect it, is it just not an issue because you're recycling everything?
So no, we cannot ever include bed bugs. It cannot ever get intermixed. We're even so stringent that we don't allow it on our trucks, even to wrap, if my team were to wrap it. So at this point, if there is, say it's coming out of a building and it's contamination, we do accept that there's an upcharge to it because we know how to handle it. But it unfortunately, if it's a mattress and it's just from the top, because we know you can see if it got let down into the layers. If it did, that is unfortunately a disposal. So you can't get rid of the bed bugs. We do have a process where we cordon off, we seal it off, we seal off the product. But if it's a large volume, we don't have enough room for it where we are, unfortunately. So we typically either say, guess what? It's cheaper for you to dispose of it than for us to take it. So let's save you some money because we have so many materials that we're dealing with. Or we'll say, hey, we took it. We're going to try to salvage as much as we can because we already took it. But in most cases, we'll suggest save money because it's going to probably get disposed of. Yeah.
What percentage of what you're picking up in Manhattan or in the city has this issue?
So we're going to take New York City Housing Authority, for instance. Believe it or not, we're under 5% with the bed bugs with them. So if we're under 5% with them, it's pretty good. Durst organization is another wonderful. We all know Durst, the organization, all the lovely people within. They're just great, sustainability folks. They have a wonderful program going with us throughout all the residential buildings. We've gotten zero in 3 years, zero mattresses with bed bugs, and there's student buildings also, but no bed bugs, thank God. Nothing. I might have just jinxed myself.
Are you concerned about that for carpets or textiles?
It'll be the same process because I believe the mattress had the most issue with the bed bug. So once we have a handle on the mattress, we're not worried about the carpet or any other textiles, really, for that matter.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
There's another question from the chat. What's the status of the New York State mattress EPR legislation? What does it propose to do? And is there a difference from mattress EPR in other states?
Whoops. Sorry, I went to plug in my laptop. So interestingly enough, the bill this year went through. There is a mattress recycling council, if you're familiar with. The first state that was mandated under the mattress recycling council for the mattress recycling was California. Of course, they're usually the leader in sustainability initiatives. But this session, we typically have Senator Kavanaugh that's always sponsoring the mattress bill. And it went through without the mattress recycling council being the management firm on it, on top. And the big concern was just they didn't want it to seem that there was a fee, because there is a fee assigned to every mattress at the point of sale, just like we have the bottle bill. Sorry, I'm just looking for the plug. Sorry, 1 second. This is not typically where I set up, so sorry. My laptop's about to die. There we go. So Senator Kavanaugh and his team were just concerned they didn't want it to seem that the fee was being offset to the consumer, because under the Mattress Recycling Council and how the program is funded at the point of sale, just like again our bottles, our plastic bottles, there's a fee, say it's $25, and the consumer absorbs it. But in my case, what my argument per se would be, well, guess what? Ultimately, it is the customer anyway, because say the larger companies like now the carpet industry, we have Mohawk Carpet, they're Mohawk Industries, and we have Gershaw, we have Shaw. They have these take back programs. So even if it's a commercial building, in most cases, the upcharge because obviously I'm charging for the recycling, and yes, they would have to pay to dispose, but I'm a little bit more expensive because there's a lot more to it. But obviously the cost is being offset to the consumer. So in my case, I say, let's just get it out of the landfill already. So that's just the opposition. The New York State was really, digging their foot in the sand and saying, A, we don't want it to look like there's a fee. And then on the Mattress Recycling Council's end, their job is to protect the American made and the manufacturers, distributors, and say, hey, if these rules are applying to, any bedding, in this case, the mattress that's being sold in New York State, then what about these third party folks that are coming in from overseas? And now how are you going to apply the same law? So because of the nuances, there's so many complications, and it shouldn't be on my end of things. The bill has gotten rejected 5 years in a row. So this year is the first year it went through, like I said, without the Mattress Recycling Council, but they did write in a couple line items that would help to protect from their end of things, in protecting the American-made companies. So it's a whole. I can be here for 2 hours talking about it. It's a whole nuanced thing, but the carpet law passed through without, say, an authority like a Mattress Recycling Council, but there is a nonprofit that was already chosen, and they're going to manage the program alongside the DEC. So I believe Kavanaugh was looking at the mindset of, look, this program, the way we put it together, we should put the mattress program together the same way. So we'll see how it goes.
Terrific.
I hope I answered your question.
I think so. I think that was great. Christine, we've learned so much. Thank you so much for spending time with us, take us through your business model and all the complexities of making this work. It is super exciting, and I think we'll be interested to hear more about how progress in Schenectady goes, and we certainly hope that you collect more and more mattress and construction waste from New York City and put it to excellent use. But I know we've used up a lot of your time. We're thrilled that you spent this time with us. Yeah.
As you see, there's so much, I can just go on and on because there's just so much to this. It's a great program and it's solving a lot of problems. And I
Yeah.
really appreciate everybody's support, as we go, because of course you can never build anything that's successful alone. So, I thank you everybody for all your support. I see a couple of names on here that I'm familiar with, pushing us forward and, just opening up opportunities, especially in New York City. I'm still behind, I'm working with the sustainability folks, Department of Sanitation. It's a big animal trying to get at least some of the mattresses diverted from the landfills, but I guess the carpet law will be coming in first for them now. So thank you, everybody.
Thank you. And you're certainly welcome to stay for the rest of our meeting, but you don't have to. And yeah, we're going to be going into Brooklyn SWAB business and also hearing from Audrey. But thank you so much and have a great evening.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. If anyone has any questions, please share my email. Feel free to reach out. You could share my presentation.
Okay, perfect. Okay.
And again, sorry for stuttering in the beginning. I had 4 meetings today.
No, it's great.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. All righty. Well, I hope everyone enjoyed that. And I think next up on our agenda, we are going to be hearing from Audrey Jenkins. She is our newest Brooklyn SWAB member and a PhD candidate at the New School. And so we get to hear about her research in a survey that she's doing on New York City community composting. Audrey, over to you.
Okay. Hi, everybody. Nice to see you. And I'm gonna share my screen because I have some slides for you. Give me one moment. Okay. How's everyone doing?
Yeah.
Doing well. Okay.
It's great. The heat has broken and I'm loving the rain at this point.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love rainy days, actually. So it's been really nice these past couple of days. Let me share. Let's see if anyone, do I just do slideshow, right? I think so. Can you see my screen?
We can. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, I'm excited to be a new member of the SWAB. I think I officially signed up 2 months ago, and I'm just getting a footing in what that entails in Brooklyn and joining some of the Manhattan SWAB meetings and the all SWAB meetings. So, yeah, I'm excited to share a little bit about myself as well. So this is my intro slide. I want to start by sharing that I moved here in 2012. So this is, I think it was also in June. So this has actually been that's 14 years now. And I moved to Bushwick in 2020. So I've been in Brooklyn for 6 years, and that was a surprise when I got here. I'm also going to try to keep this to 10 minutes. So let me check on the time so I don't go too long. So I always have been very interested in environmental issues, and I got my background was in political science and molecular bio, and my thinking around that was I would get both a sciencey and a political perspective so that we could figure out both the impacts and the causes and solutions for environmental issues. And when I moved to the city and I started doing my first job was in food advocacy, I became very concerned about social issues as well and realized how integral social issues are to environmental issues. This wasn't something that I had actually learned a lot about in my program, surprisingly. But I turned my attention to public health and got my master's in 2017, and ended up working at the Department of Homeless Services, where I learned that it's very, very difficult in New York City, especially a big city with a lot of people and a lot of inertia around the way things work, to address the issue. And since 2020, I think the shelter population is now doubled since I was there. So just to give you a sense of the social challenges that we have in New York and the equity challenges we have in New York. And so when I got interested in getting a doctorate, it was because I felt like I didn't have a lot of influence to do much about those issues, working within the city from the position I was in and within public health. So I ended up going to the new school, trying to get a PhD. It's been a while. I started in 2020. It's been a bit of a long route. But I'm in the urban policy program, and in 2022, I got my first exposure to community gardens. I didn't really know much about them. And that was very exciting because community gardens are an example of how New Yorkers come together to solve problems in the neighborhoods and to solve both social and environmental problems together. And I ended up starting the Master Composter certificate in 2022 in the fall and did not complete it before Eric Adams cut the funding. So I ended up finishing last year. Very excited to be a Master Composter. And it was through that experience that I came around to community composting and learning about all of the waste advocacy in the city. Because I was personally affected as a composter. You can see a picture here of my compost. I'm in Bushwick, so I also live not that far from BK Rye. I am near Elk Garden, where Big Reuse currently supports the composting. And I'm very lucky to have outside space, and I have my own worms, and they process 70% of our organics throughout the year. We're 2 people, and our worms are doing a lot of work. But that's a little bit about where I got started. I'm gonna go quickly through what my dissertation looks at. So as I said earlier, I'm really interested in social and ecological issues and how they come together. And I'm especially interested in the way that we empower ourselves to do something about it. So when I saw the advocates coming together around community composting in 2024, I decided to switch my dissertation and focus on the landscape of community composting and waste advocacy here in the city. And these are some of my driving research questions down here. The first one that I've been working on for a couple of years now, I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus last year for health reasons, but I was able to document some of the advocacy work in 2024 and then have been a participant in many different composting landscapes over these past years. And I'm looking at the infrastructures in the city, how they interact, the patterns of behavior, how people develop power through those, what the functions are for shaping power and access to power in shaping our organic systems. And then I'm doing something where I'm comparing that to a normative ideal called ecological democracy. So I'm really interested in how we also bring this to formal systems of collaborating around our systems of both managing materials, but also working together around those. So I'm not going to go in depth, but this is like a very kind of distilled model. It's not an amazing model. It's just something I put together to kind of talk about it. Ecological democracy comes out of political science. And I also look to particularly Potawatomi researcher Kyle White and his work on the way that especially North American tribes that he studied in sociology work together to coordinate. So he calls it the science of coordination. So it's the processes and the practices and identities that people bring together around kinship, both with each other and with their ecological brethren, to figure out what's going on, share information, and make decisions on a seasonal scale. And so I bring these 2 ideas together, and I'm very interested in how we as a society make decisions and do that within certain bounds, recognizing that we are both ecologically produced as creatures and that we also socially produce our ecologies. So that's kind of a quick rundown. Let me see if I can. There we go. I won't go into depth about this, but again, I'm interested in democracy. And if we think about different futures, so on the left, we have our current reality. On the right, we have these envisioned futures. The idea is that when we work together and we bring our knowledges together and we kind of enact those things through material practices and discussion, we can come up with a more transformative practice. And this is actually seen in political science. We have evidence that when, let's say, governments have participatory programs like community composting, for example, and they make those very public and visible, it actually increases the interest and trust and cooperation that people have to participate in public programs like separating organics, for example. So I'm working on this structure. I'm not going to go into this because I don't think I have a lot of time. I don't want to talk about the survey. But some of these like infrastructures of ecological democracy, the idea is that they help us kind of build patterns of behavior in our society. And those different patterns of behavior constitute what are called functions. And those functions bring us to a more ecological democracy type society. So I'm looking across like participation, the boundaries that we set together in terms of how we relate to each other and how we relate to ecological systems, the power and how we share that power, or how we distribute it, and freedoms. So thinking about how do we produce capabilities for people to actually participate in an equitable way in that system. So why composting? I live in New York. Why New York? I live here. I'm a composter here. I think that all cities' organic cycles are extremely fundamental to urban life, and they're often historically, as you can see in this like diagram that I found in a book about environmental history in cities. You can see that this is about Paris, but the same is kind of true in New York City as well. It got cut off, but that's the 1880s, I believe, the first diagram on top there. And so you can kind of see that there was this like economy where households were giving their waste to night soil and fertilizer companies that would like take it to farmers, and then farmers would send food to the city. And the municipality was not like a big player in that economy. And then that shifted, especially as cities got bigger, and you ended up having this more regulatory and direct kind of role that the city was playing. And that's where our like sanitation department came from. And so it kind of put a different framework on that organic cycle, where it was a little bit more of a sanitation concern and a public health concern, rather than establishing that cycle and protecting that cycle of organics circularity. So New York City, we have an amazing tradition of community-based stewardship, but we also have grassroots advocacy and policy leadership. So I think it's an amazing place to study this, and I think we can learn a lot from our history over the many decades of how to both transform systems and what those like mechanisms of social ecological coordination might look like in an urban setting, because it's very different when you get to the scale of a city rather than like a tribal culture. Okay, so I'm going to move over. So that's my like research and dissertation, and this is the work that I'm really excited about around advocacy, and I'm excited to also bring this into collaboration, hopefully with folks in the SWAB and other groups. But I've been kind of working on this idea and talking with a couple of people, including Matthew Savello. We kind of had a conversation about the economy piece of this, and I'm been talking with a partner at Cornell Institute to also think about the demand side. And so the idea, though, is that we could have like a cyclical annual kind of report of some sort that takes community-based research approaches where it's really led by people and their own communities to decide what the questions are and then how to answer those questions, and then start to describe what we want in a soil economy in New York City. So thinking about like, how do we want to collect organics? How do we want to process them? What do we want to do with them? And how do we make that work for people on a social level as well as an ecological level? So I would be interested in like talking more about this as well, but I want to like make sure that like youth are centered, make sure community-based experts and researchers are centered in this work, and also make sure it has legs so it can actually move through legislation as well, and inform the work that our legislators do. And then I'm going to skip through this. I will mention that there is a roundtable on the solid waste management plan on July 15th at 3 p.m. I don't know who's aware of that, so I wanted to make sure I mentioned that in my presentation because that's coming up next week.
Okay, wait. Everyone's not invited to that. Just FYI.
Oh, I thought it was public. Okay.
And that they don't have room.
Got it. Okay.
We don't have room for everybody.
Understood. Okay. I am on the list to go to that, so I will be there for anyone else who is going. So the survey that Mary Ellen mentioned, there's a survey tool that I worked on, which is kind of dual purpose. One of the purposes is to support the advocacy work, to kind of help describe what people want, what their experiences have been in terms of being a participant in organic separation or a composter, whichever place they fall in the landscape of New York City organics. And that will ideally inform any kind of advocacy that we do and can go into this like report and could possibly be an annual survey if we find certain questions that seem really useful for us to track over time. And then secondly, ideally, this will help support my research as well. So it's a dual purpose. I want to make sure that the work I do is supportive of advocacy because I care about that, but I also care about the people I'm in relationship with in the city. And right now I'm like in the revising stage. So I've sent it around to the organics committee at the SWAB. And I've shared it with a couple other people to get some feedback, but I don't want everybody looking at it because I want you guys to take it too. So I also want to make sure that like specific people look. And then I'll pass that through the ethics review board at my school. But I think that might happen in September now. So we'll figure out the best time to really launch the survey. And I'd love to get feedback from you guys about that. But I wanted to share one of the questions that on the survey, and then I'm done. This is the question that kind of identifies like the different ways that people are involved in organics in the city. I may need to pare the survey down quite a bit depending on how long it takes people to take it, because if you do a lot of these things, you'll be asked a lot of questions and that might not be so fair. But right now, these are kind of all the different ways. So I have like anybody really could take it. You live in New York, you don't live in New York, you should be able to take the survey and provide your opinions and your insights on your experience. And so I talk about like volunteering, people who work at residential buildings, kitchen restaurants, people who have jobs in organic waste, and these other areas of stewardship. And so if you see a group that's not represented here, it would be great to talk about that and also maybe explore whether that should be, maybe there are certain groups that should be surveyed in a really specific way instead of having a generalized survey. So yeah, that's everything I wanted to share. I can go back to slides if anyone wants to see it, but this is my email address if anyone wants to reach out to me. And thank you.
Oh, terrific. Thank you so much, Audrey.
Yeah.
We definitely have time for some questions. Angela.
Hi, thanks, Audrey, for your presentation. I was really struck by your survey question where you include the option for people to indicate that they work in a kitchen or a restaurant as the way that they interact with the soil economy. And that strikes me because I don't know that that's a connection that many people, that everyone makes, is that, oh, working, handling food in some way, like makes me part of the soil economy. But by that reasoning, you know, so many people are, like we all are in some way. So I'm just curious to hear like how you think about talking with people who might not see themselves as part of the soil economy and like broadening that umbrella.
Yeah, I think that is an interesting point because I'm so deep in it. I'm like, you're obviously a part of the soil economy. But you're right that a lot of people may not register that. And I think that's in many ways the same for some residential building managers as well, who they just see that they have to participate in a mandatory program. But I'm actually curious about this as well. And there's an opportunity to do follow-up surveys with people so we can learn more to find out what their experience is, or like whether they were surprised to be represented on this question, and to have a specific set of questions asking about how they manage the organics in their kitchen or their job. Or the way I think about it is that we are all part of the soil economy because we are all reliant on the organic cycles. We're organic creatures. And I think there is a need to reframe and shape the way we see ourselves within that, and the responsibilities that we have within that as just people taking care of ourselves in many ways. And to see that we are in community with everyone else. And I don't think that that's something that is easy to achieve, but I think it's something that is ahead of us as advocates and as researchers and community members doing this work.
Anybody else?
I saw some like comments, but there it is.
I have a question.
Great.
Thanks. Hi, Audrey. Thanks so much for this. This is awesome. I'm curious about the survey in your first option about separating the food scraps. I don't know if you go into further detail with this, if people select that. But how come here you don't differentiate between separating food scraps and putting them in the brown bin versus like participating in community composting or bringing to a drop-off site? And I'm curious if that comes up later or why.
Great question. So it does. So if someone selects that question, they get a specific section that asks them about like, what do you do with that? So there's a question on there that kind of asks like, how much time do you spend as well? Like, I'm really interested in how much time people are investing in this work, and whether they compost at home or if they're involved in other ways, or like, yeah. And then if they don't select that question, they get a similar but shorter set of questions that kind of ask them what maybe kept them from doing it, not presuming that they don't want to do it, but giving them the option to share their experience.
Awesome. And then I have a second question, which is I'm curious. I'm wondering about people who educate about compost, not directly like working for a community compost organization, but that could be educators in schools who might be sustainability coordinators or science teachers teaching about composting, or it could be people working for, other organizations where they might be teaching about that, and if there's a place for those folks.
That's a great point. I don't think if a teacher was filling this out, I'm trying to go through it. I've been through it with like many other roles, but I think I might have overlooked the teachers specifically in that it's a job where they may be directly involved. They were always on my mind, but you're right that they're included here.
Yeah, and it could be educators who work in schools or not, right? But there might be different framings for that.
That's true, yeah. And they might not see themselves as having a job involving organic waste. So
right.
Definitely good call. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. This is awesome.
And I guess maybe we can make it the final question. Betty Fibush was asking, how do you plan on distributing the survey?
Yeah, great question. So because I would love for this to be as close as possible as representative of the city, so we can kind of make some statements about like what people in general are feeling, it will be very important to do outreach in ways that help to capture the demographics of the city. And so some of it will be on the ground, kind of like street level surveying. Some of it I would love to get some support from organizations that might have like a long email list, so we can also reach people who might not be out on the street. And then there's also specific populations. I'm very interested in surveying at NYCHA specifically. I'm obviously really interested in surveying among organic waste and composting workers and volunteers, like people who are really deep in the work. And so there will be a need to kind of adjust because we'll have an oversampling of certain populations. So when I'm doing like the data analysis, I'll be adjusting a little bit when I'm talking about the whole city, but we'll be able to hopefully speak to those populations specifically. And if there's any group like educators or building managers that folks are particularly interested in, we can maybe do a specific outreach. I know Mary Ellen had mentioned there's like NYCHA community days, and so it might be possible to do some outreach maybe like next year, because I don't know that I'm going to make the July or August outreach, given the timing on my advisor side. But yeah, I would love to hear more. So please like feel free to email me too. I'll drop my email in the chat if you have like follow-up questions or like ideas, things that might be missed in this current design.
Great. Thank you so much, Audrey. And as things progress, please let us know. Keep us updated. And yeah, we'd love to pitch in if possible in terms of helping you distribute or other things. So really appreciate you sharing your research with us. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for inviting me to share.
Okay, great. I'm sorry we are a bit behind, so I think Betty's was the last question. So I think we're moving on now to the executive committee update. Just wanted to double check if everyone has had time to take a quick look through the June minutes. If you're an official member, that is a responsibility. And if we've got enough people to vote on them that quickly.
I'm counting. Hold on.
Okay, sure. While Beth is counting.
How many members do we have in the room? It's hard for me to tell.
Four.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay, great. As we're waiting for the count from Beth, just wanted to let everyone know that yesterday we had a bylaws committee meeting. There were 5 people there. We went through the revisions, the proposed revisions to the 2016 bylaws, and we voted them out of committee. So what we also wanted to do was check in with the SWAB and make sure that you all are aware of that, and that what we want to do now is send it out to the Brooklyn SWAB for you to review and to vote on. And based on our current 2016 bylaws that we're currently operating under, we provide a minimum of 30 days for everyone to review the bylaws, have them kind of sink in, and then there would be a vote after 30 days. And if people need more than 30 days, you can let us know. But just wanted to give everyone an update there.
I thought our council was going to review it before.
Oh, so you want to review it before the vote?
I thought you wanted us to vote on it first because you wanted to make sure it was all settled.
And we didn't have a back and forth with the.
I think we should review it just to make sure that everything in it
is okay.
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 And then just so that there's like a legal eye on it before you vote. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Perfect.
Sorry.
I'm sure I misunderstood that.
Communicated that before.
I misunderstood that. All right. So a little bit premature. You'll be getting the bylaws later, but we did have a review. They were voted out, and now they're going to the GC for the Borough President's office, and they'll be coming back to you later. I'm sure we'll be taking this up then at the September meeting after they've been reviewed, or however long it takes, depending on the GC schedule. We'll be getting back to you on that topic. All right. Sounds good. Seth, what is the latest? We have a quorum. Okay, so for folks that want to vote on the June meeting minutes, you could raise your hands.
This is to approve.
To approve and say yes to approve the June meeting minutes. Yeah, so 3 votes in the room.
Great. A majority has voted yes.
Okay, terrific. All right, so I think with that, we've covered the main executive committee. We'll get into the rest in the legislative and other committees. With that, I'd like to pass it over to Lacey.
Hi, everyone. I don't have much this week, but I was away last week, so I would give a more thorough report back on the hearing, but I will leave that to the legislative committee. But our office did provide testimony at the sanitation committee hearing last week in support of a bill that would create a commercial waste zones working group. Another one that would require the city to create a process for sending commercial waste to the marine transfer stations. This bill has literally been around for, both of them have been around for years. And so hopefully, and you've probably heard me talk about them before. So hopefully those will move soon. We also spoke in support of the former Intro 696. We've talked about that a lot. It was interesting to hear the new commissioners restated opposition to that legislation. We did attach the report that we did to our testimony, so the new committee has it on record. And we also spoke against a bill that would add more corridors to the commercial waste zones and delay implementation in Staten Island. We feel that it is unnecessary and would undermine what we believe is a good bill. That's really it right now. I guess just like on the fun stuff side, because it is summer, we're doing a watch party on Saturday for the World Cup semifinal here at Borough Hall. The game's at 5. The thing starts at 3. There's going to be like resource stuff. There's going to be some kids programming, like a soccer clinic for kids, and also just fun, like hang out, watch the game with us. So if you want to come by, that'll be fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
That's it.
All right. Thanks a lot. All right. Next up, we have coalition updates. So over to Sherry.
Great. Yeah. So for Save Our Compost, I think it was sent out, but City Council thankfully renewed our funding for community composting, and the Master Composter program is involved within that. So we're very happy about that. I don't want to misquote anything, so I don't have numbers or anything like that off the top of my head. But
Yeah.
Well, that was this year's thing. So putting on my ecology center hat.
You like led the
Yes.
So we did her certification.
Yes.
Lovely apron.
We did have graduation last month. So folks that finished, again, my day job is with the Ecology Center as the certificate course administrator. So we had that last month. So it's been a very, very busy time. But yeah, there is also a link in the agenda for more info about the course. But yeah, so that's all part of the funding. So we're thankful for participants and for all of our partners, for the City Council, and for all the advocates that helped to push it through, because it's not guaranteed every year at this point. So yeah, but that's what we were doing in Save Our Compost, is working on advocacy. So I think the next steps is going back to another past thing of putting some more structure around the organization itself. So yeah, and we didn't meet a couple of weeks ago, so that's kind of an update.
Great. I know with the Reusable NYC, I'm not sure if they had a meeting today. I'm not sure if anyone was able to attend. I know that they're looking into trying to do some investigation into skip the stuff and potentially plastic bag ban. So more to come on Reusable NYC. So next up, committee reports. Let's see, legislative committee, a lot of activity. We've heard a bit about it from Lacey. Bella, if you're going to give your feedback, that would be great.
Well, I didn't attend the meeting last, but looking over the notes from Danielle, it was just kind of going over all of the legislative that we're trying to approve, and it looked like everything passed internally and was then submitted, I assume.
Right, yeah. So thank you everyone for voting. Unanimous approval. Thanks so much. The questions embedded within the voting form, I just wanted to highlight them and let you know. In terms of city of planning jurisdiction, we're gonna have to get back to you. I think that was about 369 and perhaps even the marine transfer station. So we'll get back to you on that. The tipping fees for the marine transfer station or rail, if we had detail and if there's available capacity. I know there's definitely available capacity. I know the tipping fees are typically higher than the carting.
They haven't set them yet. That's part of why they say they need to do environmental review.
Okay, so they're not yet set, but they anticipate they're going to be higher than the carting. In terms of the CWZ working group, there was a suggestion that environmental justice members should be compensated for their time so that they're able to regularly attend. That was useful feedback. We'll bake that into our next. And then for 356, that was allowing community composters to pick up and to charge for processing and also charge for their compost. And our metrics tracking possible. I know within the New York City compost network, the DSNY does require metrics from them. That was gone over a while ago, at least in terms of pounds, I believe.
I don't actually know what everybody's requirements are for all of the network members. To be honest, I know it's gone back and forth over the years. I think it's depending on what their contracts are with funding through DSNY or DCLA if you're a botanical garden.
I know the last time I looked at the Zero Waste Report 2025, there was information from external composters embedded in that. So I do think there is something, but we can certainly look into more of it and see about whether or not that information can be shared beyond just the aggregate within the Zero Waste Report.
I was watching the hearing today, and if I'm not mistaken, the commissioner testified regarding that bill that the provision disallowing the sale of compost was part of the old contracts from when they were under DSNY, and now it's actually not really an issue anymore because the contracts have changed.
So So I think he was making the argument that the legislation wasn't required.
Yeah, he was basically saying it's not needed, but I mean, we would need to confirm that with someone who's trying to do it and make
exactly. So it doesn't say that new contracts couldn't reinvent that.
True, that's true.
That to come back. So again, more to come on this one. It was the first hearing on all these activities. It was interesting to hear some of the business people come in and speak on behalf of the commercial waste zone group. And so, more to come on that one. Next up, Outreach and Events Committee. Not sure if Jason is still here.
Hey guys, I'm here. Sorry about that. On the outreach side, get a few things going on as we prepare for the fall, namely around coordinating some outreach campaigns with schools and then also with our community boards. We have one final meeting before the summer recess on July 20th, Monday, July 20th. Anyone who's interested in getting involved, I'm going to drop my email in the chat. And then for those in person, it's jasoneskinsberg@gmail.com. Would love to have you there and involved. Thank you.
All right, terrific. Thanks so much, Jason. Organics, Allison, if you're here.
Yep, sorry, I'm here. I did put in the chat that intro 31 also passed. I don't know, I missed if you mentioned that one, but that's to expand mandatory commercial organics collection. So I know DSNY wanted it. It's been around for a couple of years, so I'm really glad that passed. I know Jason didn't mention the data, but we got the new data for May or for June, sorry. And unfortunately, the capture rate is down. There's a big drop last year. From last year's May to June, from this year May to June, there's a decrease in capture rate in all the boroughs, although there was a slight increase in tonnage, which I'm not exactly sure how to figure that out. So the citywide capture rate in June was 7.63%. Brooklyn was 6.36. Manhattan, always the laggard, at 4.68. So, it's obviously very concerning. I have to think that some of this is, I think we lost a lot of momentum during the winter when we, had all those messed up collections because no one could collect garbage because everybody was plowing snow and ice. So I think we lost momentum and have to figure out how to kind of get back to where we were at least, and then grow the program. And then I know, I hope that, the data team's going to be meeting with DSNY's data team. So I'm hoping that they can learn more about these kind of insights because they have the enforcement agents going door to door, so we're not flying blind trying to figure out how to get more participation. And I won't steal Jason's thunder. I guess we'll save it for next month, but he's developed a great new tool that I think will also help us try to, figure out where we can address problems with the organics program. And we have meeting on Monday.
Okay, great. Thanks so much, Allison. I'm not sure if Suzanne is here from NYCHA, or Susan, sorry. Yep.
I don't think Susan's here.
Okay, great. Well, Susan and Betty are talking a bit about the NYCHA Family Days and tabling or other activities. So they're still talking through that and coordinating with Kristen Lasky. So more on that coming up. So all good. Let's see. So with that, I think that is community updates. Wanted to let everybody know, of course, that there's always master composter information. We've got the detail on our agenda. There's going to be an e-waste and textile recycling hosted by Lower East Side Ecology on June 11th. Details on the agenda. Just as a kind of fun activity, there's stargazing on July 15th at Brooklyn Bridge Park. I forget which pier it's on, but Jupiter is in view. And I've done it a couple of years ago with their telescopes that I forget. It's a volunteer organization. It was great. I was really surprised. I was just walking out at night with a friend and we're like, oh my gosh, we can see Jupiter and Saturn. It was great. There's also an organization called Guaranteed Karma that is doing a tree bed takeover on July 20th. And that's on 224 Broadway in Brooklyn. And if you're curious about containerization in Brooklyn CB2, the DSNY is holding 2 webinar sessions, July 8th and July 22nd at 6 p.m. And then Zero Waste in New York, what it is and how we can get there. On July 22nd, 2 times 10 to 11:30 and 7:30 to 9. You can register for that, zerowasteny.org/webinar. And I'm not sure if anybody has anything that they want to add for anything, either in events or any topic. Suggestions for future meetings, for topics. And if not, our next meeting is scheduled for September 1st. I believe that's correct, and that aligns with the borough board meeting. Oh yeah, that's prior to Labor Day, so it was a little bit unusual. And while we're waiting, Audrey, if you've got a question.
Yeah, I actually asked my my partner in this soil economies thinking at Cornell if he would be interested in presenting at some point because he's a soil scientist I know we have Pearl Eggendorf, who's an amazing soil scientist, and we have the Brooklyn team here that also is. But I was just chatting with him, and he does like biochar, and he talks about the way that he thinks about soil, which I think is really interesting. So if anyone would like a short presentation with him at some point, he's open to it. Yeah.
And Kendall?
Yeah, Mary Ellen, people may have noticed that because of the reporting last week that sanitation issued their draft EIS on citywide containerization of the Empire Bin program. And the reporting was that they are anticipating upwards of 60,000 containers citywide over the next 5 years.
Okay.
And with a EIS hearing, I think on August 7th.
Okay.
And it may be a topic that I'm curious if other SWABs are talking about it. It's very little time to comment on it between now and August 7th with community boards in recess. There may be some requests from community boards asking for more time to comment on it.
Okay.
And that's something that the executive committee and the other SWABs should be paying attention to, because it's a significant shift in how waste gets collected and managed in the city, and what its implications are for recycling, organics diversion, composting, zero waste and the like. And the EIS doesn't really touch on any of those things. It's solely about the impact on operations and logistics. So just want to flag that for people's attention.
All right, that's a great ad. Thank you so much. I know within the prior hearing, I can't remember the exact date. It wasn't the July 1st. It was the previous sanitation hearing. Commissioner Anderson did talk about the significant increase in capital expenditure for new trucks, and then also for hiring. He said that hiring had gone down since 2020, and that based on containerization, there would be an increase in hiring and capital expenditure due to the new trucks. He also mentioned that within CB2, in collaboration with Councilmember Lincoln Ressler, they would be doing a study to see whether or not it would impact recycling. He did not talk about how that study was going to be structured. He didn't talk about whether or not that study was going to be public. And he didn't talk about whether or not that study was applicable to other parts of the city. So I think there's a lot of open questions. So I appreciate you bringing up the topic. And I don't know if there's any other feedback on it.
I mean, maybe the legislative committee should have to meet again to formulate testimony.
Yep.
And everyone get ready for a vote on that.
Yep. Okay. That's a good one. Jason?
Yeah, I have a totally separate topic, so I didn't know if there was more here before I jump in.
I think that's it, unless there's any.
Cool. I was going to bring up a procedural question, which was just around the minutes, because I don't know if others are in this boat. It seems to be the second time that I've missed the minutes going out. So I was just wondering to understand a little bit more about what the process is for members to review those minutes, and when they're typically posted to the drive.
Okay, sure. A week ago, when I notified everyone about the meeting and that Christine Kiourtsis was speaking, I also put in a link to the draft June minutes for people to take a look. And the email for today, I put in a link to the June minutes if people weren't able to see it. I would guess, based on your comment, that maybe I should make them more visible when I put them in the email. So maybe I can highlight them in yellow where people can just be aware. On an ongoing practice, the week before a meeting, I'll send out a reminder. I will include the minutes, assuming they're done. If not, I will alert them that they're not done and they'll be sent out later. And then I'll also do it the day of the meeting.
Cool. And Mary Ellen, thank you. Again, this could just be my failing. I see it now on the bottom of the email, so we'll look out for that in the future.
I read my emails pretty quickly, so I don't always catch everything the first time. So I absolutely understand what you're saying. Don't worry about it. But I think that's good. And so I'll take a look and see if there's a way to make it more visible.
Now everyone knows.
And now everyone knows. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Okay. So just to flag, there could be testimony coming up about the EIS meeting, containerization and DSNY. So please, we are going to be taking August recess, and then we'll be reconvening in September. We're checking on the date. We might have to get back to everybody on that. It will come via email. It will also pop up on your calendar. Let's see. What else? There was one other thing. I can't remember. But we will find out about the September dates. And I think that might be it. So we will still have committee meetings in July. Then we'll have the whole month of August off. And then we will reconvene in September.
Except for the people who are testifying.
Except for the people that are testifying. We may be looking into some kind of like a fun restarting event in September. We'll let everybody know. And yeah, I think that's about it. Any other comments? Topics?
Welcome to our guests.
Yeah. Thanks so much for joining. I hope it sounded great.
Thanks. Great.
Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I think that's it, everybody. We'll send out an email about the September date. And thank you so much for joining tonight. Thank you for our two great speakers, Audrey and Christine. And I hope everyone has a wonderful evening.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Did everybody sign in on the